Welcome back to the Age of Empires 4 action. Balu has been surprising me. I've been intrigued by this arrival at the top of the leaderboard. If you're not familiar with Balu, Balu is currently ranked, I think it was, 33rd in the world right now. And they're about to clash with one of the top players, David Kim, a.k.a. Poppy Paw. Japanese versus English. This is what really had me intrigued with this map. I think English is going to be a top-tier pick for Cliffside. The way Cliffside spawns with the one big wood line and the small ones afterwards, and the fact that you spawn closer together means that Lombos are an inherently more valuable unit. My question mark right now is, what is Balu's answer going to be to this? Playing as the Japanese, you don't really want to be going for Shinobi. They get sniped easily. You don't really want to be going for Onobugusha because they also can get sniped. So realistically, we're maybe looking at Samurai play, or maybe there's a way that Horseman can work. But we're already seeing a very interesting opening to this clash. It's a Rax drop and an immediate spam of Men-at-Arms coming out from Poppy Paw. Intriguing, considering that the Japanese aren't completely unarmed against this. They can build Samurai, and if he sees and reacts with this, Samurai will beat Men-at-Arms. The reason is that you have to remember, although they cost more, they have the deflective armor, so they will be able to tank a hit and then hit you in return. So they're already one ahead. I'll have to see if that reaction is going to come out. Another detail can be getting into the melee tech upgrade, but you need so much stone to do so. So it looks like it's going to be forced off the gold. You have to now react with the racks, right? The problem, however, is Balu is already in a bad position here. Because he didn't expect this, he already built a house over here. He built the forge. Doesn't have the extra wood. So he has to wait to get into the racks. This is a tricky start that he's up against. Oh, man. And this is so tough as well. Can we check Balu's scouting pan? He actually went wide, so it's kind of surprising. The timing on this, he didn't get a glimpse of it. Look at this. He wrapped around just short by a tile. Damn, that's actually painful. If Balu had seen that ahead of time, they could have actually been gathering wood already. They would have been into a racks by the time the Men-at-Arms arrived. So they would have started to get the counter. Instead, these two Men-at-Arms are going to idle them out. And Poppy Paw realistically has to delay the feudal age timing by about a minute for this to be worthwhile. Right now, however, they are busy shuffling around the base. And oh, Balu, no. Okay, they realized they should have been building an outpost already. So they're going to build one behind. This is pretty crafty. It's a bit weird. So what Balu is doing here is this outpost feels weird because right now David Kim cannot do anything about it due to the fact that he'll be in range of the TC. However, after David Kim reaches feudal age, his Lombos can idle out the gold line and this outpost does nothing. So if you're David Kim, you're actually quite happy with this right now. You've made a 150 investment here, 240 on the Men-at-Arms. You've forced idle time plus 100 resource investment into an outpost that won't do much beyond Dark Age. You haven't forced Balu, however, to go into a racks. And that's unfortunate because I think that is really the next play that David Kim was looking for. Because while Samurai are annoying at scale, they take time and they're expensive. Lombos are easy to scale in the interim of 5 to 8 minutes. Which means that you can actually punish your opponent for having to drop a racks. So Balu is a pretty smart cookie here. The fact that they did not commit into a racks is a really big positive for them. It's different if you want to go into it, right? Like if it's a proactive move, but building a racks here would have been fully reactive. Village is getting pretty low. Just going for that drop-off. Balu just needs a little bit more gold. I think he's got it in the bank there. Yeah, big drop-off there. So 227 gold. Tech up is ready. This should be the Kura storehouse. Yeah, you... Honestly, if this was say this was some sort of... I mean, not HRE because I have to wait feudal age, but another civ that could build Men-at-Arms this early, I actually love the idea of Shinobi because they hit melee so hard. But you just can't justify Shinobi against English because it's always going to be counterable, right? So Lombos, as all archers do, they get bonus damage against Shinobi. You'll just die. And the rough part as well is it's worse against Lombos because that extra range, you can't even use Shunshin to kind of manipulate the fight at all. Because while you get 3 tile range on Shunshin, you're up against a unit with 7 tile range to attack. Here we go. So it's going to just peel back there. I think you got enough for for the Tatara. Isn't going on the stone. So Balu isn't looking to go for a multi-TC build that we see a lot of. He's not also looking to go for the Bannerman early, which is another very popular play for the Japanese. Curious what he's got in mind here. This could be there's no way this is a Yumi opening. I want to say it's not, but at the same time, having no gold and stone access, what are you left with? Maybe Horsemen? But Horseman isn't a popular play right now for the Japanese unless you get those Bannermen, right? The whole reason why you go stables is because if you get Yumi Bannerman, you basically get Knights in Feudal Age. But with this many people on stone, on wood rather, and on food, this is looking like it's going to be a stables drop. The reason why it has to be a stables drop, by the way, is if you go for Yumi, Yumi have very low base damage, so if your opponent keeps scaling men-at-arms, you do nothing. Plus, the Yumi, like, they can gap close against Longbows, but if there's men-at-arms in the way, that's never happening. I hope it's Yumi, simply because you know your opponent went racks. So if he's opening with racks like this with the men-at-arms, it means he already has access to spears. Just have to wait and see. Yep, it's going to be stables. Oh, this is like one of those... You're playing chess in your brain on the counter of the counter of the counter. And it's, in fairness, I don't blame Baloo for doing this, because it's almost like you have to tick the boxes one by one. And it needs to be stables into archery range. And that's exactly what we're going to see here. So, good read. If you don't have these stables, you don't threaten the Longbows at all. You need to try and keep your Longbows off your Yumis while they kind of kite, kill Spearmen, and whittle away at men-at-arms. This is annoying. Villager about to go down, so Baloo is going to lose one. Slow to react there. Does at least get the archery range and will peel back. And immediately starts producing those Yumi. If you can get, say, 2 or 3 of these horsemen together or 2 or 3 Yumi, he might be able to just buffer this away. And looks like he's going to cut off reinforcements. A great read there. Love the timing on this. Baloo spots out the positioning for an outpost before it even begins. We'll find a cheeky little Longbow for his trouble. So, good opening. That was really good game sense, actually, from Baloo. There's a lot of players that would have waited for the second horseman, and that would have allowed the Longbowman to get reinforcements in position. But he immediately pounces. He's staying away from the primary Longbowman source right now, because if you fight into this, you just lose. Luckily for him, because of the Kura storehouse placement, his farms are actually out of range of Longbow harassment. It's pretty crafty, actually. He's using one of the English weaknesses against them, is that the English do not want to play to the south side of your base here, because they'll be away from reinforcements. So it's a great read by Baloo with the Kura storehouse placement, and the calmness with which he's going about his eco right now. Now, we do need to see Steeled Arrows. This is a really big deal breaker right now. If you do not get that little bit of gold to get into Steeled Arrows, you're really locked on what you can do with Yumi. I would love to see him just move out, grab a bunch of stone, and drop it off. I think it's worthwhile here, because if you want to scale Yumi, the only way you kind of like shine a light in the face of the English Longbow spam is by having that extra damage. To put it in numbers for you, getting Steeled Arrow for Yumi, there is not a single unit in the game that sees a bigger damage buff than this. Well, land units anyway. We won't count archers. You could argue that Chuginu maybe are up there, right? Actually, yeah, Chuginu are a little bit higher. Outside of Chuginu, though, it's Yumi, because Yumi have 4 base damage, so +1 is a 25% increase. Comparatively, Chuginu get a 33% increase. Now, keep in mind these Yumi are cheaper than Chuginu. They're faster. And once you scale into Bannerman later, they are insanely powerful. Love this little chase down as well. Getting rid of that scouting vision is critical. Love the wall ahead of time. Baloo has just completely dented the ability for David Kim to actually snipe anything here. Scout is going to survive, though, so... Unfortunately, he couldn't get that kill. It means that he can kind of wiggle around, and then Longbows could snipe. So Baloo is going to have to be careful of that as he balloons his eco count on this wood line. Puppy paw. We are finally going to be getting in there. I honestly, I think you prioritize Undermesh over Steeled Arrows here. Just so that your Spearman Men-at-Arms can dive. He might not feel like he's threatened by it at all, though. So, one thing to keep in mind is because you have extra range, Steeled Arrows theoretically is better. So there we go. He's going to be going for Steeled Arrows, but it really depends on the info you have. Like, from Puppy Paw's position, he doesn't necessarily know how many of the Yumi there are. So this choice is still a bit dangerous. Realistically, the count shouldn't be higher than like 12 or 13 Yumi, considering the stage of the game we're at. But at the same time, nothing's stopping Baloo from dropping a second archery range back here. He could have been swelling that number right now. Love the cut for reinforcements in the meantime. This has been a very long wrap from Puppy Paw. Just out for a little marching drill around the back of the base. And Baloo, quick to spot that and shift away. Oh, interesting. So this is Numidan. Okay, I'm not well, I can see that. Balu's been, I said he's been impressive that he's like a top 20, top 30 player. So that actually adds up. So it's Numidan versus Poppypaw. And wait, are those 3 villages in there? No way he was doing that. Oh, dude, you deserve death for that. That was so greedy. Balu. Cheeky good. Numidan finding some value there. Just pinching a few villages on the front side. And, oh, dude, this army, they're so out of position right now. Villagers moving on the front side, so it looks like he's going across the forge. This is really bad what Poppypaw has just done here. This is the critical mistake that we talked about that like English do a lot to avoid. You do not want to patrol the back of the base. When you do that, look at what happens. March into your own base. Horseman now reacting. Decent amount of Yumi here as well to address the spearmen. Has to defend this. Looks like the archers are joining in. Villagers just getting those short bows out. But that means they're idle. They're not working. And this spearman count is not working right now for Poppypaw. Last of them is going to be sniped out. Horsemen will now charge in, and villagers need to run for the high hills. Longbows are also going to be exposed. Immediately targets the military instead. And Yumi just trading out. Heavy losses on the back line here for Poppypaw. Poppypaw now committing underneath the TC. That's a pricey dive. He did find 1 or 2 villagers here, but realistically couldn't find the rest in time. They shift to the other side of the base, and they're going to be safe. Now, while military still does favor Poppypaw, eco is neck and neck, but the idle is the difference here. 15 idle compared to 6 or 7 on the side of the Japanese. Still a decent amount of horsemen here, right? Like 5 plus the Yumi. He could just dent this eco count. Damn, what a play actually by Numidan. It's really smart for him to read that. Remember what we said about like how short the map is here? This is kind of a double-ended dagger, shall we say, in that from Poppypaw's perspective, it's still taking him a very long time to circle the base. If you think about it from like basic math logic here, the amount of time it takes Poppypaw to walk around this base is no different to how long it would take on Dry Arabia. Maybe 5 to 8 seconds shorter because it's 1 fat woodline, not 2. However, this woodline extended it. The difference, however, compared to Dry Arabia is if your opponent, while you're doing that, was sitting at home, the time it takes them to reach your base from their own is shorter. That was just a brilliant read, and the cool thing is that everything that Numidan is running here is fast to do that counterattack. It's not just the Horseman with the 1.88 movement speed, it's also the Yumi with the 1.38. It's great reads, and now all of a sudden that military lead that was looking super scary, not really there for Poppypaw anymore, right? They're neck and neck on the pop count in both regards. However, I'm expecting a TC from Numidan soon. He's been gathering the stone out here with 3 villages for a while. He's got plenty of wood to work with. Wouldn't be surprised if we see a TC drop down here on the deer. Could be that he plays it condensed, right? Maybe just tries to connect his base a bit, get more farms up around it. But this should be a second TC either way. Oh, did he go for Daimyo instead? Okay. We did talk about this for the Yumi, but I figured he'd want to play greed instead of aggression. But seems he feels like he's got an opportunity to push the momentum. It is a very big buff, by the way. The Yumi, we talked about the fact that getting Steeled Arrow is huge for them already. So up to 5 damage. That Bannerman's going to get them up to 6. So only 1 behind the Lombos. But remember, they're going to have movement speed, and they're also going to have mass. Right? Remember, these units are cheaper than regular archers by 15. They are a lot cheaper than Lombos by 25, in fact. For the time being, at least the Lombo count is good. I'm a bit worried about Poppypaw's spearman count at this stage in the game. He's being a bit too frugal. It's kind of understandable when you know the amount of Yumi you're up against, but it's opening the door. Dare I say this is actually not a Yumi Bannerman. This might actually be a Uma. I mean, we'll find out. He's got the ability to unlock one now. I genuinely think you go Uma here. Uma Bannerman, the 15% damage increase to this many horsemen is going to be insane. Okay, it is. It's going to be Uma. Great read by Numidan. He baited him. I mean, I think there was a mistake made there by Numidan when he revealed the horseman. That was not necessary. So he kind of missed an opportunity here because there is going to be more spearmen coming out now. Now, keep in mind that Numidan could still go for a second TC very soon. He's still got 3 villages working out here on the gold. And he has got a bunch on stone, rather, and he's got a bunch of the gold over here. So realistically, he could have a second TC being built in probably the next minute. And I would be thumbs up for that. Like, I think he has good military mass. He even has the ability to now go raid with all the Uma, with the horsemen plus the Uma Bannerman. And I don't see a world in which Poppy Paw is going to go for multi-TC, as he needs to make this farm transition now. All right, guys, who is in the lead in this game? I always like to kind of get you guys involved. I'm all about that Twitch interaction. So let me know what you think. Like, do you like the English position or the Japanese position more here? No judgment. Because this has turned into a very interesting game where the English had complete control of the map, and now they've become the turtle. And look at the way the Japanese have spread. Berries as well. Love to see that. Dude, this is looking so good right now. Yeah, I'm not surprised. So many people coming through with Japanese. It's a really strong position, right? The walls going up is nice, but I think it might be too slow for Poppy Paw. Uh-oh. If Numadon just runs around... Oh, what? What was that? What? Dude, he just got pushed through the wall. Oh, man. Someone butter up that horseman and slip him through. What on earth did I just witness? That's when you know you can't fit through the door, but then against all science, people just push you through, right? On Black Friday, you somehow just break through. That was chalked, man. I'm behind this now because he's into the base. Poppy Paw has to dance around while Numadon begins to tech up. Floating gate on the way. I'm never a big fan of like this type of placement. I get why Numadon's done this so that he's not blocking farms, although realistically you've already blocked so many farms. The problem with this, and I think this is something that people get really good at doing and optimizing as we get deeper into the expansion, you should be building your floating gate next to the two things you want to Yorishiro. So, for example, in this game, if Numadon wanted to Yorishiro a stables and a farmhouse, you should place it right here. The reason is once you tech up, your Shinto priest will have dropped both your Yorishiros within 5 to 8 seconds and be moving out towards relics. That is such a big advantage. I cannot emphasize that enough. It's usually the difference between being a 2-relic boy and being a 3-relic boy. So we'll see what he wants to do. Yorishiro's picked up. Are we going for stables? I would love to see stable play here due to the Mount Samurai, but I think with the Spearman already appearing... Dude. This is so far away. So this is one of those things where, like, as an example in this position, imagine if he just built the floating gate here, and he would have already dropped off a Yorishiro, and then he could have dropped the second one in, like, a house or something. Instead, he's now running for a relic, and he's just got this deadweight Yorishiro. I do like that Numadon added in the Shinto shrine early. I've seen a lot of people wait to build Shinto until after they've started returning the first relic. This means not only can he grab more relics quickly, but he's going to move this guy out to pick up the Yorishiro, probably run it into the forge here, and then run onto one of the relics on the front side. So I've seen much worse when it comes to optimizing floating gate placement. This isn't too bad. Bruh. After what I just... Really? Okay, screw the Yorishiro. Yorishiro OP. Numadon is an honorable man. He refuses to use such a broken thing. That is very wasteful. In fairness, it's only hyper wasteful if you don't pick one Yorishiro up, right? Like, I mean, you can spawn 3, I think it is, at caps at the front. But realistically, you want to be ticking these boxes right at the beginning. There is an argument that Numadon is saving a Yorishiro here because he might need to make a pivot. So, like, for example, if you see your opponent starts to build a lot more Lombos, you might want to drop a Yorishiro immediately in a stable to get triple production. But I think realistically, this is just him being a greedy boy and looking for those relics. Which dude, this actually could be a 5-relic game. I'm not even, like, there's no cap in this right now. There is no monastery right now from Poppy Paw. He's completely walled himself in. He doesn't feel comfortable coming out. This is usually one of the big weaknesses of scaling infinite Longbos, is you just don't play flanks. I think we might have a 5-relic game for the Japanese. Oh my. Also, Yumi now being added in. Ooh, these guys are going to sting. Yumi Bannerman, with the level 2 ranged upgrade, they do not pull punches. Melee tech's also now stacking up. Level 2 coming in. He'll be able to afford level 3 shortly afterwards. And the way that he's blowing his economy, I don't want to say he's thinking fast Imperial because I think it's a throw. But it almost looks like it wouldn't be that impossible. This looks like it's Master Samurai, though. Master Samurai breaks English like this. This is a terrible comp for the English. Because if he gets Odachi plus like 15 Samurai, you just die. Relic being rammed back. Looks like that one is not going to be coming home with Papa. He'll still play the one on the flank, though. So far, he's already banked 2. Army is going to start marching in. I think he's going to try to burn down the Shinto shrine. Trying to force that reaction, but you can see for the time being, Numidan is waiting. He's got more Mount Samurai on the way, Mass Samurai as well on the floor. Don't think he's got the Odachi yet. No, he hasn't queued it up. This is a big deal breaker. Like I said, you want this because right now, every single unit in Puppy Paw's army will take the +4 damage from Odachi. Looks like, actually, after all is said and done, like, yeah, you prevented one of the relics from being yoinked, but you didn't burn down the Shinto, which means there's a lot of passive gold coming in right now for Numidan, which is critical considering his comp is so gold heavy. There it is, Odachi, now on the way. If Puppy Paw doesn't force a fight before, say, like 20 samurai with Odachi, I think it's going to be a rout. On similar military mass, it's going to heavily favor the Japanese here. So that level 2 ranged upgrade is now coming in from Puppy Paw. Just trying to keep that edge. The tough part is, like, once again, it seems like the Yumi really suck, but you have to remember these units gap close very fast. So it's critical that Puppy Paw has a strong front line. The issue is, like, men-at-arms versus the samurai, you lose. So do the maths on this. You get armor-clad, you get +2 armor. Odachi comes in, that's already +4 damage. So you've already negated the armor-clad entirely. On top of that, you then have the Bannerman, which is going to give a 15% damage buff, which at this point in the game is 2 damage. Then you have an extra melee tech compared to, like, the men-at-arms, so you're now at another +1 compared to what they can have there. It's overwhelming. Like, Samurai right now, everyone's screaming to nerf Samurai, but it's kind of like the one leg that right now Japanese kind of have to stand on. It is admittedly strong when you look at it on cheat. So I've been saying, like, for example, even though the HRE, the specialist civ, when it comes to like, men-at-arms, Japanese can test them, especially in the late game. But realistically, they don't have much else to stand on outside that. Like, I've got to give a lot of credit to how fleshed out and versatile Numidan's army is right now. Cavalry, archers, and samurai, this is not something you often see out of the Japanese at all. So we've got a little bit of posturing. Armorclad is on the way. This count is not inspiring confidence, though. Like, it's 6 men at arms. I'm wondering how much Puppy Paw has seen of this. Like, is it that he's seen the samurai and he doesn't really feel like right now men at arms surge works? I would understand that. It kind of looks like Puppy Paw is thinking about going for a Berkshire drop. That is very ambitious. He has a decent amount of villagers over here, but the runtime might kill him. It's definitely going to be tight. If Numidan just snoops outside of his base, it could just GG the game. But right now, Numidan is very hesitant. He was waiting for the mangonels. Resources are coming in. Puppy Paw is 100% looking for that tech up. He's going to have to fight for it. Villager Pool is going to be there. Berkshire on the low ground. Here we go. Mangonel reveals itself. That's going to force a retreat. Berkshire is going to be rushed up by 28 villagers. This should be undeniable. Especially the way Numidan's playing. I think Numidan has shown a little bit too much respect here. It's a big army, but realistically, his army is just so much better. You can see it in the army value, clear as day. But now, arriving a little bit too late, I think Numidan's going to have to reset and just think about Imperial Age himself. He'll look for the charge in. Probably willing to take the clash here, even underneath the Berkshire. He's going to get the clip onto the villagers. Take out a few of them. There should be enough room to garrison all inside. I say that, he actually has perfect room for the remainder. 18 do shift inside the landmark, but now with this dive, I don't think that Numidan can maintain this for long. He's going to try to get the trade outs before the upgrades come through. But we'll realize quickly that this is not going to work. Mangonel will be sniped. Cavalry will shift out the other side. Puppy Paw, now with a military lead, might look to make a counteroffensive. Numidan needs to make a tech up happen. This is kind of the predicament he finds himself in. That dive was unnecessary. He was never going to stop that from happening. He at least shrunk the eco a little bit, but what would have been a lot better in this game for Numidan is if he just decided to walk away at that moment and then go Imperial Age. Now, army value, they are neck and neck. So this is not an outright win. Puppy Paw will not break the base, especially considering that the Shogunate Castle came out behind this. This is very hard to breach now, folks. Do not call GG in favor of Puppy Paw. If you thought the Berkshire was hard to get through, I would take Berkshire over this any day of the week. Just look at the difference. 6.5k HP, 13k. Better range, yes, but guess what? I've got a missile that would make Kim Jong-un jealous. Whew. And yes, the food income is low for Numidan. The reason is because half of his farm area is blocked out by buildings. And he never went multi-TC. He does, however, still have the scaling benefits of Yoroshiros over time. He does, however, still have 4 relics. This is... Oh, wow. This outpost might come in clutch, because I think it's going to reveal this flank attack before it gets in range. Numidan looking for a breach on the other side, and there's the vision. This should be a pullback instantly. He knows he's being too greedy. Right? Numidan? Oh, no. Uh-oh. Okay, he'll finally realize it, but it's going to cost him a little. So we'll get most of the villagers out, but remember, he's still 1 TC versus 2, so losses like this do count. Tanegashima Gunsmith is now on the way, though. It's time for the Boomer boys. Look at this movement. Cavalry needs to be careful not to get pinched. There's not many spearmen, but it's enough lombos to wipe you out. So Numidan, very contained approach, very disciplined with the wide arc. Will make his way back home. Puppy Pawn now only getting into that spearman upgrade. So you can see how he's kind of been lacking on the eco to justify this tech up afterwards. Let's see if Numidan is going to be fine. He's got plenty of gold in reserve, actually. He can easily immediately upgrade these samurai and just play Samurai Zutsu. I think that's what we might be getting first. Yeah, there we go. Elite Samurai tech comes in. He's got 5 Ozutsu in the field. Wouldn't even mind him just upgrading the Yumi at this stage. I think it's worth it. The reason why you want to upgrade Yumi here is if you upgrade Yumi and then get the Yumi Bannerman, the Yumi Bannerman actually buffs the Ozutsu. So you're getting like this double dip benefit. That's really strong. You know what? Army's going to react to that north side. So understands that he needs to try and reaccess this eco. The remaining berries and deer can be beneficial in this area. Puppy Paw not willing to contest him yet. It's interesting as well, because I feel like Puppy Paw has taken that classic slow approach the English do at this stage in the game with Trebs. But right now, his military is so strong that he should be just restricting the map. He can't beat the main base because it is a shogunate castle. But he could easily strip this backside. He could easily stop any sort of expansion on the west side. He could easily take a fight here. This is not a quick siege, folks. My worry about what's happening right now is that Numidan has 4 relics. He's got, I don't know how many Yoroshiros banked. This has to be at least 3, if not 4. Yeah, double forge here. Triple forge, actually. So he's got a very healthy gold trickle here, right? If we look at this, he's getting 320 from the relics. He's then getting an extra 225. So he's got over 500 passive gold. Like, all this gold right now is passive. None of it is active. You need to break him. You can't wait. And this wraparound is dangerous. Double Mangonel. Ozutsu as well. Puppy Paw feeling like he needs to engage, but it might kill him. Longbows at risk. Flash comes out, and there's Mangoes. There's no counter to it. Cav now just trying to wrap around. There is a multi-pronged assault opportunity, but the issue is the front side is just too strong to dive. So Army is forced to retreat, and things are about to get worse. Oda Tactics has been queued up. This is going to be scary. The increase in damage you're about to see on these samurai is no joke. They already hit for 20 damage. 24 if they're touching infantry, which, by the way, is everything that the Puppy Paw fights with. They're about to see a 20% buffer there. So they're going to be hitting for 28 damage. I wouldn't want to fight that. And also, keep in mind that Numidan hasn't used extra tickets yet. He's got additional Ozutsu to push. In fact, right now at this stage, I'd imagine he's probably got an extra 3 or 4 Ozutsu he can get out. If this Ozutsu count reaches like 15 and he micros it correctly, this backline is just going to be disintegrated. Because the Mangonels stop the longbows from sniping out. Even if they wanted to, by the way, you got to remember that these Ozutsu have a lot of ranged armor. In fact, if we can find them amongst all the glows. Look at this. 6 ranged armor. It's 2/3 of your damage. Is there a difference between Oda Tactics and Elite Army Tactics? I believe it is just the namesake. So I can double check for you, but it's 20% damage. And if I can find this, boom. Actually, sorry, Oda Tactics is torch damage as well. That was the difference. Yeah, you heard that right. Because you get melee damage and health, right? But these guys, I think it was it all damage? You don't, there we go. So you just got the health, he gets the damage, but you also get torch. So he does 28 damage per torch. These spearmen do 20. That's why it's Oda Tactics. It's actually a very strong tech. Where that's important, by the way, is like it means that your infantry can just annihilate siege as well. Not siege, sorry, any building they come across, right? So it's like the cool thing that it unlocks for the Japanese is it makes them, I feel like, less reliant on siege in the late game compared to other civs that might need to fall back on it to clear buildings. Right? Like it's actually kind of this cool diversification away from a reliance on rams that other civs have. Cinderarios did just come through, by the way. But as that happens for Puppy Paw, we are going to notice the level 3 ranged armor coming in for Numidan. So getting as tanky as possible. Still mitigating basically over half the damage these longbows do, right? They're doing 13. Meanwhile, these samurai are about to have 8 armor. And no breakthrough for you. Walls have gone up. So Stonewall's now there. Numidan just trying to force a funneled fight. And understandably so. Numidan has made a big mistake here, by the way. He's not pushing Azutsu. He's holding so many tickets right now. Why no elite army upgrade? I don't know, actually. I think Puppy Paw may have just forgotten about it. Considering he went for incendiary arrows, I mean, it could be... So in fairness to Puppy Paw, scaling longbows doesn't make much sense against samurai, right? Because you haven't got a front line that can hold, so you need a back line that can break. And that's what the crossbows do. So I think the reason he hasn't upgraded them is he prioritized everything else, including elite army tactics. Likely we're going to see Puppy Paw go back for it next, because he has got almost 2k surplus gold. Attempts being made to kill one samurai here. I just love this idea that these shots are coming in from the trebuchet, and the samurai is just pulling out of his sword and swiping through it. Damn, that sounds sick. Numidan now getting chemistry. Oh, no, this game just got scary. He just realized Numidan just pumped 10 more Uzutsu, and he still has more tickets left. Guys, I cannot emphasize enough how hard these guys are about to hit. They've already got +5 damage from the Yumi. They're about to get a huge increase of 20% on that 35. So they're going to be hitting for about, I think it's 47. Dear God. Reminder, this unit also has AoE damage. Reminder, this unit almost has the same range as Longbows. And speaking of bows, goodbye to the Yumi. It's Mass Samurai. Oh, no. Longbow will find their way into the back line, though, so that's the positive. However, negative is that the Numidan still has cavalry, so you can quickly react to this and still be in position to defend. I do like what Puppy Paw is doing there, though. Like, he needs to shrink the economy. They've both got a lot of food bank. The other resources are a bit question marky for both players, right? Like, you can see one has a lot of wood, the other doesn't, the other has a lot of gold. But we're waiting for good reason, folks. Numidan, he almost has the final melee upgrade. I think if Puppy Paw waits for this to come in, it's not to his benefit here. I mean, this dude's even getting biology ready, right? So I don't... Was that a misclick? No, he has got stables back here. Oh, wow. So he's going to try to mass Horseman Samurai. I don't know about that. The issue with what Puppy Paw is about to do is if this ever gets walled, he can't flank. And Samurai will hold. So here we go. Main clash is underway. Mangonels shuffling on each other right now. They're not going for the attacks just yet. Finally, Mangonels are going to start holding that hostage, but the Spearman got enough time to get around the backside. Good pinch by Puppy Paw. But one Mango's still alive, and the Azutsu still pushing back against this. Military mass is shrinking. Puppy Paw is losing ground here. It's just the back line. This is what we were worried about. The Samurai, they just do too much damage in these fights. And so do the Azutsu. Azutsu that now hit for 48 damage. If they cough on this backline, it dies. Choke point's working against him. He's going to retreat towards the Berkshire, but with 17 Azutsu, that Berkshire is not going to last long. Look at the damage on it! 1 shot, 2 shot, make it a triple. Right now, Puppy Paw might need a quadruple vodka shot just to get through this. Berkshire is gone. My landmark beats your landmark. Azutsu might have to reset. The Lombos might threaten them. Then again, with 7 armor, who gives a damn? Send him to hell. Oh my God. So this is how the Japanese play 10-pin bowling. Intriguing. Azutsu will now have to walk away, but damage truly done. Poppypaw's army reduced to nothing, and he's switching into knights. Now remember what he said, folks. He needs to find a fight in the opening. If it turns into a choke point fight, he's going to lose. And worse still, folks, he just went for knights against a Civ that is one of the best spearman builders in the game. Now, it's going to take time. The spearman upgrades haven't been put in yet. So for now, Numidan will remain on the samurai. But he's already started to queue these upgrades, and I cannot emphasize this enough. These spearmen slap. This is like walking into the arena with Mike Tyson and wondering why your teeth just fell out of your mouth. Nagayari is an insanely powerful tech in the late game. 500 resources, and look at what you get. You get extra weapon range, so your second wave can attack, and you get 20% more damage against cavalry. This Knight Mass is not only not sustainable long-term for Poppypaw, it's very easily countered by the Japanese. I really was expecting Horsemen as well. I mean, I get why he didn't. We already highlighted Horsemen just get eviscerated by Samurai at this stage. But even Knights, I mean, the tankiness is all that matters to the Samurai. They don't need to win. And we've been here before, Poppypaw. We know about this wall. But once again, he's marched around that flank. He's going to have to come to the center. And it's going to be a keep drop. If this gets up, it's going to be very difficult for you to find a way in. Now, there are gaps. I think that Numidan's been a bit lacking on his back line. He hasn't fixed these holes. But that's now being adjusted as soon as I criticize it. So that looks so cursed. Technically, that is closed. It doesn't look it, but it is. It's going to be a main clash. Castle being built up. Knights trying to wrap around the side. Azutsu protected in these chokes. He can't stop the castle. He needs to get out. If he's not careful, he's going to lose a lot on the retreat. Mangonel shot is a good one. Whew. I don't think you could have got more damage. You hate what they did to wall? I like what they did to walls. I mean, it looks cursed, but I actually think this is an improvement on walls. I actually like that you can wall towards resources. I actually like that we've kind of got this hybridized version of what you see in StarCraft and Age of Empires 2. Because I think it adds a lot more diversity to base building, instead of just being, oh, the optimized meta is just build a fat-ass wall all the way around your base. Walls like function a lot better now. They look terrible, but they function a lot better now. I do think that walls need to be slightly nerfed now because they're so much easier to use for defenses. I do think that they're a little bit too good in terms of health now, especially the Roos ones. And, you know, like the crazy part is Roos especially right now is one of the best civs in the game still, and they essentially are one of the biggest benefactors of the buffs to walls. People question marking the game still going on. I don't think it's going to go on for much longer. Y'all remember that battle? I like to refer to it quite often in casts like this. When gun meets cavalry. We're about to see the Battle of Nagashino. And this one's likely to go the same way that battle did. I mean, it's 52 knights, but against 20 Ozutsu and so many samurai, it's difficult. And it looks like instead, okay, this was the play. So Poppypaw, he's trying to get rid of all the Yoroshiros. He's trying to starve his opponent at gold, but I wonder if this play came a little bit too late. And yes, the battle I mentioned, the Nagashino battle, is in fact where the Takuda got wrecked. Although Takuda ain't going to get wrecked here. They're going to attack at their time as they push him to the back corner. A lot of buildings are being burned. This just kind of feels like a Hail Mary, though, because Poppypaw knows he can't take a main fight. If he's not careful, he might be forced to. Crossbow still start stepping back. Azutsu are exposed, though, and there we go, the charge. Poppypaw sees the opportunity to go in. Azutsu need to get into a choke point, and he knows it. Good micro from Numidan to minimize losses. Spearman now hitting the field, and this is what I was waiting for. The Nagayari have arrived, and the Knights are about to get wiped. He'll clean up some siege, sure, but his numbers, his days in this game are now limited. Now that we see the Spearman there in full form, this is only going one way. I mean, it was a good play by Poppypaw, right? Like, spreading the map, now trying to tap all the resources as best he can. But once this army gets cleaned up, I don't think he's got anything left. Ozutsu's going to get nerfed, by the way. Like, you can mark my words on it. This is getting nerfed hard. The issue with Ozutsu is they are way, way too omniflex. They do everything. I think the nerf needs to be no melee armor. No melee armor and minus like 20 or 30 health. I think that's how you fix this unit. I think it should have a lot of ranged armor. I know some people feel different, but my logic here is like this like what it done to the Berkshire, that's what it's meant to do. It's a siege unit, right? So it should always have ranged armor. It should have no melee armor though. It needs to be 0 melee armor as a base, and it needs to be like 140 health. I don't think anything else necessarily needs to be changed around it. Outside that, I think it's a very fun and creative unit, but maybe less damage versus units. I don't think that's the problem. I think the reality of this unit is it should be like a pseudo glass cannon that has good resistance against ranged attacks, but outside that, it's very vulnerable to death from everything. Right now, everything near it is vulnerable to death. This is ridiculous, the way in which it's blitzing for everything here. And look at this, immediately backs up and turns it into a meaty sandwich. Samurai and spears to make up the bun, and a very meaty Ozutsu. Oh no. Nagashino calls to him. Puppy Paw knows it's over. This is a 5x on military advantage. Make that a 6. It took 42 minutes, but what a turnaround here. Puppy Paw didn't make that early game easy, but Numudan, I think like this was incredibly well played. This guy needs to get the appropriate credit for what he done in this game. He bided his time. He fought tooth and nail. He had a healthy comp in Castle Age. Yeah, it ended with a broken Ozutsu, but there's no denying that he earned this victory through every step of that feudal and Castle Age fight.